think it is completely unhelpful to observe beauty standards from the perspective of a specific ethnic-only insecurity, as it misses the broader picture which unites us all. The fact that every ethnic group struggle with the exact same problem when it comes to beauty.
This bitch really said, I think we all sing.
She sings everything, and it's a good thing because she has a beautiful voice, but it's awesome. She sings absolutely everything. She never stops.
That's so true, Liz. You sing a lot too. Like, especially during rehearsals. We all sing.
True.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Is our beauty industry being colonized? Well, if you ask academia and the media right now, they would say absolutely yes. The only problem with this theory is if you take about 2 seconds to look around you, you'll see it's absolute nonsense.
Why do thin white women, who are the beauty standard, think they can tell me, people like me who are marginalized, fat people of color, about beauty standards and how harmful they are? Like, bitch, I know firsthand. This is my fucking life.
Why are you the way that you are?
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl Dom Del Cielo, Dom DC for short, and I'm back with another video, back with a segment of feisty feedback. If you're new here, hi, I'm Dom. I make videos every Monday, for sure, and then other days, and I do beauty while I'm telling a story, Make Mythology Monday, and then also other leftist, social, and political commentary. So, that's what you like. If you want to support creators of color, if you want to support black creators, if you want to support queer creators, all those things. Make sure you like this video, comment down below, share with your friends, and subscribe. We are the family. Help us grow into a great nation to take care of my biological family. In my eyes, you must subscribe. I'm just kidding. Let's dig in. On today's segment of feisty feedback, we are going to be destroying, a segment from Lauren Southern's channel about how we don't need to decolonize beauty standards. But, she does not have the range for talking about this kind of thing. She does not have the range, and I'm going to get into it and critique why she is wrong. Like I normally do. Facts and logic. And we mean decolonizing as in deconstructing the thoughts, values, and preferences we have based on a colonial way of thinking that we were subjugated under by oppressors, by mostly various European countries. I mean, that's not me being rude to you, that's like a fact. Like, they instilled, even more recently, like, when you think about, like, Rwanda, they instilled in the people of that country that because the Tutsi people were fair-skinned and taller and thinner, that they were better than the Hutu people that were darker, and they're being a genocide. So this is literally, like, decolonization, especially decolonizing our minds, is so important. Obviously, anyone with a brain knows that the global north that has beauty standards that aspire to whiteness, and then that ideal fitting whiteness goes on to the rest of the world. Lauren doesn't exactly see it that way.
Whitening products in Asia, and a rising opposition to colorism in the beauty industry.
Skin lightening is about power. It's an expression of power, and so people who lighten their skin are doing this because they are responding to a power dynamic that exists in their particular society.
The theory here is that the beauty industry views being white as being better, and we need to decolonize what we view as attractive, that everything we've decided is fashionable, beautiful, normal, right, is Eurocentric. And I won't deny there are some aspects of this which have existed through history and at time overseas.
I noticed that she doesn't even mention colorism, which does have real life consequences, such as dark-skinned and light-skinned black men having different pay rates, mirroring those of like black and white men. Dark-skinned black girls are 3 times more likely to be suspended from school than their lighter-skinned counterparts and their white classmates. But I mean, who cares about like what actually happens to people of color and problems that actually better lives because we're seen as more aggressive and less human? Like, what is context to Lauren Southern? First of all, who is Lauren Southern? I'm glad you asked. Quick way to describe Lauren Southern is like if Tommy Lahren made half her Fox salary, did her own makeup, and woke up in the morning and took like 4 Xanax a day. Like, she's like kind of like a boring version of her. A boring, very technical version of her. She doesn't shout really at all, but she used to work for this conservative group called Rebel TV, and I remember the first time I saw her on my timeline was for this video about why she's not a feminist.
Despite popular belief, feminism is not in fact a synonym for equality. I'm not trying to say that men have more issues than women. My point is that both genders have issues, and to argue that feminism is a movement for equality and doesn't just represent one gender's issues is quite frankly ridiculous. So this is why I'm not a feminist. I'm not a feminist because I believe that both genders should be treated equally and both their issues should be addressed. I'm not a feminist because I believe I should prove that I'm worthy of a job rather than having it given to me to fill a quota.
No.
Those people on the right wing tend to be like those, not like other pick-me girls, like, that's why I'm not a feminist, look at me boys, I'm so cool. And she was a darling of the alt-right movement until somewhere in 2018, 2019, where like I guess all the bigots of the alt-right movement realized that she wasn't married. Her and a lot of the women of the alt-right movement weren't married. And basically they were just like,
You women, why you work? Why you know Mary? Why you know her ring? Why you know incubating white woolly baby?
basically. And so she actually make a whole video about why she's not married, which I think a lot of, ironically enough, explains a lot of the reasons why we need feminism. Like, ironically enough. It's like, you don't know feminist, but like, you believe you should have creation of your own life. Yeah, that's what we want for everybody. Especially in feminists, we care about everyone. Race, social, class. Like, we want it all, dude. She takes time in different intervals. I know she's married, had a son with an Asian Australian man, which
her current boyfriend is not white.
I don't think it would be endearing to put such an emphasis on that, you know, because it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is he's the best person I've ever met. Like, he would watch this and be like, why would you make that a thing?
of all the unproblematic white women you could have chosen, like, why her? And again, like, it's not about interracial. Like, I love that. I love that for everybody, anyone who wants, you know, a relationship like that. So for anyone, I just like want everyone to be treated like well by whoever they're with. But I mean, this person who has continuously sprouted racist propaganda such as the grace replacement, which is literally white supremacist rhetoric, and if an register who was literally a white supremacist, I don't know how you look past that and it's like, yeah, that's my wife. Like, you know, in their world you wouldn't exist, I wouldn't exist. Like, they literally want, like, she literally was advocating for like a white ethno state and saying that immigrants, now she didn't say brown and black immigrants, but she would say Muslim immigrants are ruining Europe and they're taking over.
Oh no! Bringing in migrants from the Libyan Ocean for the last mile, and they're just heading out again to bring in more illegal migrants, and we are going to stop them. No way they're coming in here, no way they're bringing in more illegals. I mean, I certainly have the large amount of public opinion against me and against my skin color, against my sexual persuasion as well, I suppose. I mean, there aren't a lot of good things that the politicians or the media have to say about straight white people. I literally could not see a single European face. Not only that, they were giving out free Korans and free henna in the tents on Canada Day, and it was just women in burqas with Canada flag burqas. They either assimilate or they go home. If they don't want to be a part of Western culture, why the hell did they come here?
Southern is a Canadian political activist and YouTube documentary maker who came to prominence with her films on rape culture, the murders of white African farmers, immigration and Islam. She has been described as alt-right and a white nationalist. She was detained by the Italian Coast Guard and barred from entering the UK and New Zealand. 2016, she authored and self-published Barbarians, How Baby Boomers, Immigrants and Islam Screwed My Generation.
In which I put up posters that said Allah is gay, actually in response to an article that came out in Vice claiming Jesus Christ was gay.
Right.
I thought to myself, why can people say this, but they can't say Allah is gay? Now, of course, these are very inflammatory statements, and the reason I made them in these ways was because no one was willing to have these conversations publicly about the contradictions between being for LGBTQ rights, being for progressive rights, and then having immigration, which was starkly against these progressive agendas.
Let's hear Lauren quote the old video and try to show that her views have differences from those of Camus, and by extension, differences from the Terrorist Manifesto.
You'll notice the only quotes I used from him were ones of him saying, "We can't replace one group with another group of people without losing unique cultures." Despite various misrepresentations, Camus does not oppose current immigration policy out of racism or Islamophobia, but on the basis of the preservation of French traditions and culture. This didn't seem very controversial to me at all, and in fact, it seemed pretty damn similar to the comments made from those lamenting the loss of Native American peoples and cultures.
While preserving French culture and tradition is a fine goal, I guess, prioritizing this is not similar to prioritizing preserving indigenous cultures, since the destruction of the latter was in all cases entirely intentional and deliberate, whereas increased immigration leading to decreased demographic or cultural dominance of white or European populations is not deliberate or intentional.
I don't care, but all I was mad because, again, she's not having these white babies. So, I mean, she's had to, go into hiding 2 times because they want to get her because she's not having these white babies.
Now she's back this year trying to rebrand herself as an enlightened centrist that is trying to learn and be like even-handed, meet in the middle somehow, which I don't really believe. She still doesn't really understand, the concept, the construction of race, or how these issues affect like people's everyday lives. Like, this really affects our lives, girl. This is real. Hi, I'm a black person. This is real. This is happening. Like, this is real life.
The beauty industry views being white as being better, and we need to decolonize what we view as attractive. That everything we've decided is fashionable, beautiful, normal, right is Eurocentric. And I won't deny there are some aspects of this which have existed through history and at time overseas. However, today, especially in the Western world, I really think it is completely unhelpful to observe beauty standards from the perspective of a specific ethnic-only insecurity, as it misses the broader picture which unites us all. The fact that every ethnic group struggle with the exact same problem when it comes to beauty.
Like, she really just all life mattered race of beauty standards. Like, really just did that. Why are we talking about race when everyone's insecure about their looks?
It's like there's a huge difference between personal insecurities that are just us in our head and those that are reinforced by society, and then also keep you from getting opportunities that you want, like a certain job or things like that actually affect your everyday life, which you don't deal with because you are the epitome of beauty as a thin white woman. But as someone who has a bigger body and a darker body, that's not my experience. We all have issues. I'm playing the world's smallest violin. Can you see it? It's the world's smallest violin.
The lure of unobtainium. We all desire what we cannot have, or what we were not born with. In almost every poll I could find, the vast majority of women were unhappy with their appearance. One poll boasted 97%. And if I had to take a guess, I don't think the 3% of people feeling great about their bodies contained all the white people in that poll. We all have innate things we wish we could change. Even on a personal level, I'll admit, my natural hair is super wavy. It's like a lion's mane. Would have been great to have in the 80s, not so much today. I straightened the living crap out of it.
White people are so dramatic and so extra. Girl, you straightening your 2A hair is not the same as black women literally being forbidden by law, okay, to wear out their natural hair how it grows up their scalp. Like, literally forbidden by law. We have the Tegan law that was in Louisiana. During slavery, women were forced to shave their heads to remove their black identity from them.
Natural hair is still seen as very unprofessional in many jobs. Also, I believe there was a Crown Act that passed in California. Like, think about it, has your hair ever been illegal? Has there been a law that has been to be made so that you can wear your hair how it grows out your scalp? I just want to know that. Like, I just want to know. Like, we are not living on the same playing field, honey boo boo. We are not. You are on like easy island, okay? My hair is this is a wig. Like, my natural hair is a coily kinky afro. Okay, it's giving Angela Davis. It's giving the 70s. It's giving Jimi Hendrix. Like, I have a really like Nigerian afro, and I'm learning to like love it, but it's not considered normal by any means. Also, being normal, women, like white women, don't become petting zoos because of their hair. Like, become human. Like, I don't know, there's no sticks on this, but like tons of black women specifically can attest that they've had their hair involuntarily touched. They didn't want to be touched. And lots of people don't even ask. Actually, it was a big part of my decision to not really wear my hair out because people just like put their hands in it. Mostly non-black people, but like, I mean, I get the fascination because I've never seen hair. Like, the shrinkage is crazy, and you know, it could be like out here, but like really when you straighten out, it's like down to here. Like, it's wild. I understand it. You're fascinated. But you don't know if my hair's clean, okay? And I feel like I don't imagine people stick their hands in your head quite often. They would in my, every now and then someone does stick their hair in the weave. They do, but not much they did in the natural.
And while While hair straightening may not be a great example of rejecting Eurocentric beauty standards, there are absolutely instances where white people also desire and pursue the traits of other ethnicities. And to see this, all you have to do is observe some of the most popular cosmetic procedures to date. Firstly, lip augmentation is up 43% since the year 2000, and that stat is from an article in 2016. Lord knows it has gone up since then. I honestly can't say I know a girl who hasn't done it, dabbled in it, or at least thought about it before. Moving on. Another increasingly popular surgery is the Brazilian butt lift, which people are literally dying to get. Legit, 1 in 3,000 people die when getting this surgery, making it the world's most dangerous cosmetic procedure. And lastly, tanning salons and particularly self-tanning products are anticipated to grow around 6.3% in the next 7 years. And I'm sure you've noticed now a commonality between these last 3 booming industries. None of them are about enhancing white traits. Large butts, big lips, and certainly dark skin are the opposite of Eurocentric beauty, and yet they are undoubtedly the most popular beauty trends today within the Western world.
Yeah, keywords are today in the Western world. Like, we're talking about things like lip fillers and BBLs only got in popularity in the 1990s. So we're talking about that's only about 30 years of people trying to have more ethnic features. And then tan skin, I don't know, people are just weird, they love being tan. And I mean, there's just like a difference. There's a difference between like, I went to Aruba for a week versus I'm now Shaniqua, and I think I can say the N-word, like, they're just two different, like, there's levels, okay? People start asking if you're Latin or if you're black, you've gone too dark. Simple. Simple. Eurocentric features such as thinness, lighter skin, / loosely textured hair have had longevity, a lot of longevity. Thinness as a beauty ideal came from a Presbyterian minister, oddly enough, in the 1840s. Minister Sylvester Graham advocated for an abstinent diet for women, and it was meant to be a key to health and morality. Yeah, keep the woman thin and abstinent. So, you know, they're so thin and frail they can't run away from you if you beat them too much. We know that BMI is racist and sexist, okay? Literally, they base this scale on white men from Belgium. I'm just gonna take a wild guess that the majority of them, they do not have the weight fluctuations that women have for, you know, like hormonal reasons from like 1 pregnancy to your menstrual cycle, like wild. And I mean, I think people just have natural, like, different bodies, and like BMI doesn't take that into account. Like, yeah, being an ectomorph's cool now because being thin is more ideal, but if we were hunter-gatherers, if you're an ectomorph, I'm an endomorph, and we can't find food for the winter, you're dying and I'm surviving. So everything has this thinness being the ideal has been around for over 200 years, especially part of the formation of the Western world, as they call it. Light skin colorism, you know, within America, within communities of color, can easily be traced to the 1700s. Especially when you look at the pinturas de castas. Like I talked about this in another video before, but you have the lighter skinned people, whiter people on the top of the society, and people who are darker skinned at the bottom, and also they have more animal names. Like there's lobo, which is a wolf. There's like mulato, which is like a mule. So there's definitely being a distinction being made to correlate like light, good, proper, nice, dark, bad, dirty, dingy, discard. With the US in particular, we had the paper bag test for slaves. So if you're darker than a paper bag, you go into the field, and if you're lighter than a paper bag, you lived in the house. And now actually the thing about that is that people aren't mad as much about the job difference, because either way you're like getting raped against your will, like you're getting raped and it's still a slave. But people who got life usually had a white father, and the father with the money. So when they died, they could be free, which is kind of a little bit deeper reason of why there's this colorism in African American community specific. Oh my gosh, good hair versus bad hair, definitely very prevalent in like Black and Latin communities. Of course, I have the bad hair that's kinkier, more African-like. I mean, they just go on and on about. I think even funnier too is Dominican Republic, especially during, I think the Reina Trujillo was very racist against Asian people, and even people who went from the US were like, yeah, there's a problem here with Dominicans, like these Haitian people, but they're like only like a couple shades lighter than they are. And I'm like, I feel like that's really bad if we have people from the US going there and saying you're racist, and they're from the US. Basically, we're talking about more ethnic features versus features. Like we have hundreds versus a few decades now. Obviously, one's been around longer, one has been more ingrained in our society. That's just math, but that's just math. To these features that they're trying to emulate, right? The full lips, the curvy figure, and the dark skin are all actually fetishized features of people of color, specifically brown and black women. Now I have like a medium pout, like I don't have really like full lips. I don't know, I think God forgot that in my gene pack when he made me Nigerian, but a lot of people who have full lips did, like, especially if you were from community of color, the boys would say you had DSL. Just put on the screen here what that means. So yeah, very fetishized. And also to the curvy figure, just the countless jokes about like how you meet black girl with no ass, or like, you know, people telling you to have a certain hourglass figure. There's just so much in the realm of accepting. I feel like for a lot of black and Latino women, for sure, of having this expectation to look like Megan Thee Stallion or Sofia Vergara, like to be stacked like that, but people aren't actually built that way. And that's just life. Dark skin, because you notice, okay? Not that I completely hate this, but you notice that in a beauty aisle, the white people stage are like beige, ivory, like, but like ours for people who are brown and black, like it's like chocolate, mocha, cappuccino. And again, I don't hate it. Like this foundation is like tiramisu. My concealer is toffee, and that sounds delicious. But like, if we're food, why can't like people be like, there's like vanilla icing, or like mayo glory, or like coconut shavings? Like there's so many things you can make that are white that could be the names of people's shades. You need to get on that.
Funny enough, massive celebrities embracing more ethnic beauty standards like darker skin, bigger lips, and braided hair are actually on notice at the moment for allegedly blackfishing. Ariana Grande used to look like a pretty normal white girl 10 years ago, and now is rather ethnically ambiguous. Other stars on blast include Rita Ora, Selena Gomez, Iggy Azalea, and Kylie Jenner, plus pretty much all of her siblings, which has brought about this really confusing conundrum, because our media have this one side where they're complaining about how the beauty industry and their standards are Eurocentric, as we've seen from Bloomberg, while also, on the other hand, shaming people for embracing non-European beauty. And this has really put women in an impossible spot.
It's really not that complicated. Y'all get to shape shift and wear my body and skin as a costume. Next day, y'all can go back to being the epitome of beauty as the delicate white women flowers that are America's sweethearts and have to be protected by all men, especially white men. The difference between you and me is I'm always black, and I always deal with the consequences of that, okay? Consequences such as being
seen as more harsh or aggressive by other races of people, specifically white people. Apparently, like there's a lot of, I have a nice face, but all black women don't, and that's just their face. They just kind of have okay, but they're not bad people. I think because they don't have a natural bubbliness, people assume that they're being aggressive and mean, but it's like, no, that's just how they are. You're all right. No one's gonna hurt you. He's more aggressive is definitely a struggle. Being assumed to be stupid, it has to be my least favorite microaggression, and it's really annoying. The worst one is being believed to not feel pain. Like literally, there were studies done that doctors believe that black people don't feel less pain than everyone else, and then actually in the US, specifically, black women have the highest mortality rates for childbirth because doctors don't listen to them. I believe that almost happened to both Serena Williams and Beyonce. And they're both famous. Mind you, they're both famous. While white women still get the privilege of not having to deal with all those issues, they still get their white privilege at the end of the day. So they can take off, you can take out your braids, you can wash off your self-tanner, okay? You can lose weight if you want to. The lip filler wears off. But I never get to change.
For example, when Khloe and Kardashian come on the scene, they had really curvy, voluptuous backs, see for the black male gaze, because they're very reminiscent figures of video vixens from the 90s and early 2000s, like this Melissa Ford here. I think that's just yeah, and it's amazing. So look at Khloe. So remember the big butt, that big butt, little waist, little legs. And then we have, of course, Beyonce, also another person who really made popularized having a big butt. And that look. Again, the ant body. This one really looks like an ant body shot. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Let's see this one with Tristan with holding hips. But then you see them shift to them totally shift to whiteness. See, she went from being curvy to now being really stick skinny. That picture is the most shocking to me. I'm like, I almost was like, who is that? Who is that? I thought this one was Dua Lipa. I thought this picture of her, of Kim Kardashian, was Dua Lipa. That's how small she's gotten. Look. Dua Lipa's smaller, but obviously, this is such a change for them. Both of them are so much smaller because they think they've been taking Ozempic, allegedly. So no one tell no one, excuse me. But look, they totally look different. Who are these bitches? Who are these bitches? Especially with this style too. They went from hip hop to rock and roll, glam. Especially with these pants, Kim Kardashian. And oh my gosh, she's almost the same size as Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton's always been skinny, but Kim's almost the same size as her. She's really trying to fit into a European aesthetic. I thought that was Taylor Swift when I first saw it. I thought that was Taylor Swift. That's Khloe Kardashian. This is Taylor Swift. This is wild. See, again, they're shape-shifting. Now they're back into whiteness, into being more European American. See, look, I'm just flabbergasted, man. I can't do that.
This will be me till the day I die. Well, maybe, I think the lips will go because collagen, but this is not the same. We're not even playing field, baby girl. We are not.
Fashion trends today that do reject Eurocentric beauty are cultural appropriation.
I think the key thing on cultural appropriation is about, one, do you know the culture that you're taking this thing from? Do you understand the culture? If someone asks you why you're wearing that, could you say, oh yeah, this is from this culture, and they wear this for this ceremony, da-da-da-da. I think that's probably the most important thing, number one. Number two, is the way you're wearing it a way that would be appreciated by that culture? Did you even check? What's something I didn't check? Especially the headdresses are the biggest thing. I can think off my head, so I'm those are for only the chiefs. Talking about Native American headdresses, I'm even I'm not Native, but I know that even myself, they're only for the chiefs and they're only for certain ceremonies, and there's a lot of rules that go in that, and there's a lot of significance for Native people in those specific tribes. So I'm why people wear those at Coachella and think it's cute? Just disrespectful. Just totally too, by her logic, if we're just supposed to all be we're supposed to be just basically she's just saying you should just be happy, right? Just be happy that white people want to emulate your features. Okay, biologic, so then I should be happy about menstrual shows, because they did make people who have really dark skin and big lips. It's no one would make that, no one would say that that's a good thing. I know the worst thing about the menstrual shows too is those freaking wigs. They make the little pigtails and candy wrappers. No one does that in real life, you guys. It's the worst part of it all. The menstrual wigs make me want to lactate hot sauce. And I mean that. Just ugh.
But then, if they don't embrace them, they're seen as just basic white, ugly, thin-lipped Becky. And I wish I were joking, but mocking people for having thin lips has literally become a meme and an insult, largely on racial grounds. You're a disgusting, male, white, thin lips, no butt-ass Becky.
The thin lip jokes are hilarious. I'm sorry, but that's people's karma for menstrual shows and lynching. So
that's y'all karma. Is now the thin lip jokes or the Becky. Y'all had it coming. Just blame your ancestors. Don't blame me. Okay, you guys did that. Y'all did that. So just take back. You'll be all right. It'll be okay. That people yelling funny things is not gonna literally kill you. Lynching literally killed black people. So
that is a whole whole section of the internet, which displays once again another sad universal truth. Human beings will use unattainable appearance goals which they naturally hold that someone else can't achieve to mock others and play on racial insecurities, no matter your ethnicity. You rewind the clock 20 years ago and it was, oh, you have a big butt? You're disgusting and out of fashion.
Do these pants make my butt look big?
Eyelid surgery in Korea to appear more white is insanely popular. Women of color are out here spending $8.6 billion on skin bleaching creams every year. Meanwhile, all the white chicks are out spending billions getting cancer at tanning salons. The beauty industry sucks for all of us. We all go in and out of fashion. We all want what we don't have. And I do not think that beauty industry executives are sitting there saying, yes, let's make these people follow X beauty standards. Let's make it all Eurocentric. Not at all. Because they thrive off us all being insecure. We are all not pale enough. We are all not tan enough. And the algorithm and our search results will let ad agencies know which insecurity to play on more so than another.
All lives matter, Becky. I feel like honestly a lot of this commentary you see from like, especially like white right-wingers is just them having a hard time with the fact with they're now being racialized in the way that people have come from racialized their whole lives and they can't handle it. They cannot handle it. And because again, like whiteness is a default and is a norm, and they're used to that. They're used to being the norm, but now that's being challenged, they feel threatened. But I don't give a fuck. I'm just for my fucking ancestors, seeing for people who didn't have a chance to speak up, you know, and fighting for a better world. I don't really care what people think. Really being racialized is not necessarily always a bad thing. But I mean, just kind of the connotation you put with it. So I mean, it's just feeling like, oh yeah, she's white, versus like that Becky over there, that freaking Karen, like different. Same as like, oh yeah, I know, like Black Dom, okay, she's cool, versus like that black girl, like it's a little bit different. So I think even being racialized, don't try to take it too personally, because I think people are trying to describe you. But again, as being like the one black friend in the group, I'm kind of used to being racialized. They're like, oh yeah, that's the dark skinned girl over there, like.
And you know what? The beauty world isn't even necessarily driven sometimes by actual beauty, but just by being able to augment and change our bodies and being obsessed with appearing so different from our previous insecurities to the point of disturbing and even ugly extremes. There's an entire subreddit dedicated to just botched surgeries, which some people don't even think are botched, just overdone, and you get to this point where there's girls getting lip injections to the degree of absurdity, or breast implants to the point of looking painful. Now,
yeah, some people are just stupid. What you can do about that?
I want to be clear here. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to be more beautiful. I don't think there's anything wrong with a bit of cosmetic voodoo here and there. I think putting effort into life is wonderful as long as you avoid the extremes. Go get your hair done. Go get a nice outfit. Please, for the love of God, put on deodorant. And if you feel like there's something a little more major that you need to do to feel better, whether it be getting laser or you have bad teeth and you want veneers, do it. But this is an innate human desire and trait of insecurity in all of us. And seeing the media try to make such a nuanced discussion into a race-baiting campaign, I think is just so foolish and misses this primary conversation we could be having about the lure of unobtainium in general. And you know what? The whole thing also points to a media cultural ignorance and desperation to paint a narrative. Must white people always be the center of every other ethnicity's motivations? Or perhaps, could Asian desire to be pale have nothing to do with Europeans, as the pursuit of porcelain white skin has been a beauty tradition in Asia for over 1,000 years, particularly within the geisha tradition. Also, things like braids, which people often call cultural appropriation. These have existed and appeared in plenty of different cultures without any sort of culture theft going on.
Big deal. Cultural appropriation about the black, like the braid designs. Like African American hairstyles have their roots again in slavery, and they were designs to like figure out how to escape from like cornfields and stuff. Like they have like a very specific purpose for a lot of the designs that these people are doing that they don't know at all, and they just take it. And then like the thing is that they wear it and it's cool, but people who like, they're literally girls who braid or dread their hair who get kicked out of school told they can't wear that in class because it's disruptive hair. How can it be disruptive? It doesn't talk, doesn't move. How can it be disruptive? That makes no freaking sense. None. Like none. But they said as a reality, and like again, there's just, especially because there's not much sense of like seeing the whole picture. Just like their narrow point of view. They're like, oh yeah, well now I see in the past 10 years people want to get BBLs and full lips. That means everything's equal now. No. No. That's not what that means at all. Like not at all. Trying to make like all braid styles sound the same, like French braids. I don't even know who made those, but that's fair game. Okay, I don't know where that came from. Don't care. I don't ever wear my hair like that, to be honest. But the people like, the Vikings wore braids. They weren't box braids. Nobody's going out here like this. It's very specifically made for coarse, kinky hair. And if you don't have 4B or 4C hair, it's not meant for your hair. And I'm not really much of a gatekeeper. I don't care about the cornrows or like the box braids and that stuff, okay? But just leave the box braids alone, okay? I cannot condone this. I mean, I'm just gonna have to, like, you're gonna banish. You cannot do, if you don't have the hair to do it, you can't do box braids. I made the rule, but like I didn't make the rules to begin with. Like that's like box braids for the niggas. Only for the niggas. Only.
The desire to augment our natural appearance is something which unites us all as humans, and while this video has been particularly about women, as we're discussing an industry which largely markets to them, this transcends gender as well. Men feel all these things too. So to me, the real conversation here isn't which racial group, which gender, cultural group, or whatever is at fault for imposing certain standards on the other. It's that we all have these insecurities and tend to just want what we can't have. So the question is, how do we approach that? How do we fix this? Well, one of the sad aspects of this all to me is that natural beauty, natural ethnic beauty, is being erased largely as we're all morphed into this weird silicone beige, medium-lipped, ambiguous Instagram cutout. And I probably exacerbate this myself following trends. So with something we all want to follow, how do we actually challenge that? How do we re-embrace what we were born with? I don't know the answer to this question. I don't think any of us do.
So basically, I kept coming, as the past year, because now it's 2022, I usually list back in Libra season 2021. The past year I kept coming back to it and then like putting it out for something else, come back to it, come down, putting it out for something else. And I don't know, it's one I still wanted to finish just because beauty is such a big topic to me, obviously because of what I do on YouTube.
Both of the times I'm recording this video, I am in Libra looks, especially because Libra season is all about embracing beauty, embracing an aesthetic. Particularly this one's very pink for Libra's power color. But I do love the planet Venus, the qualities of beauty, romance, and just all around goodness and loveliness.
I was really pensive about how I wanted to end this video and why I thought it was important. So it's just the subject of, people probably asking why do you care about beauty standards? Well, I think it's probably because beauty is inherently political. It's about what is acceptable to be worn in public or in public spaces and by who. Also, especially for women, beauty is a form of currency. People who are perceived as more attractive are more likely to get hired for jobs and seem more trustworthy, as well as being viewed as healthier and more likable. Also, just for women as well in general, the recurrent encounters of sexual objectification really are pervasive in our everyday life and permeate the consciousness of girls and women especially. Standards of beauty really define how, really start to define someone's relationship with their body and their dimension of physical freedom. Also, did we talk about the Hailey Bieber thing? We're trying to defend her because she's half Brazilian, but girl, you a white Brazilian, you're a white Latina. Let's just be real here. Talking about she was had the brown lip liner, lip gloss, saying she's brightening his lips, and I had a TikTok go mildly viral for this. I'm just gonna start it right here.
There's nothing these people won't colonize. Black women been wearing brown lipstick and popularized it already.
Okay, you can't outshine the shiner, baby.
And I love that some people try to you're just jealous, you're trying to gatekeep. No. It's cultural appropriation. You should give credit where it's due. I don't know why there's turning for some white people to just name things ski bangs, it's already been this baby hair, it's already a thing. Just give credit where it's due. It's not appropriate as long as you give the credit. You're not making anything new here. You're just doing something again. So a lot of people agree with me, so I felt kind of cool. What white women usually miss on the cultural appropriation conversation is that hey, people of color get penalized and judged for this, and if you're doing it and it's cool, it's definitely just not fair, and you definitely need to recognize that and definitely need to check your privilege and speak up for women of color. Use your white privilege for something good, That some things are personal, to us, some of our 40 stars, us, that is part of the point of the quantification of everything capitalism. They're selling us the solution to our problems. You don't like your body, BBL. You don't like your stretch marks, do creams. But then we have to realize that there are still some things that are systemic, like prejudice against darker skin, and prejudice against people who are fuller figured or fat. There's still oppressive systems that we're fighting against to this day. There's definitely a tendency of this conversation about beauty standards and about contribution of beauty trends, our tendency of some white women to do what's called structural gaslighting, which is basically where, in years of experience with general patterns of discrimination, violence, and oppression are conceptually severed from the structures of power that give rise to those certain patterns in the first place. So other places this happens is police violence. It's like they kind of be like, well, oh, all people get shot by police, but yeah, it's like your senior ground laws are more likely to be applied to a black victim and a white perp. And you have things where homicides of black people and Latina people are 15% less likely to be solved. Medical racism, where the CDC states as of 2020, non-Hispanic black women are 2.9 times more likely to die giving birth at the rate of the giving birth as non-Hispanic white women. So it's like really important that we have to see how all these systems interconnect and are still oppressive to this day, and how we can change them. And a part of it really is going to be for especially slave people as speaking up for ourselves and encouraging others to speak up for themselves. So how do we decolonize beauty? I think part of it is going to be buying products by people of color and LGBT people who are minorities, people who do accurately represent like the shade spectrums and do include people with disabilities and things like that. Also just do advocate and push, and if you have a position of power, do put more people of color, people with disabilities, people who are LGBT, different sized bodies in your ads, in your campaigns. The more that we just see diversity of everything, of color, of size, of ability, the more we see all of that, the more normal it will be, and then it will no longer be like, oh, she's the first black trans, or they're the first gay male. One day it will all just be known. That's kind of the goal I think we're all heading towards. And then the main thing you can do is yourself. You have to reclaim the entirety of yourself. Just kind of think of what traits that you are insecure about, and if it is affected or influenced by some system of oppression. I know for me it's my hair. I never know what to do with it, and also like for a long time I grew up pensando que fue pelo malos, entonces no quiero tener ese pelo malo, yo tengo ese pelo bueno así, que es más suave, más liso, casi sudándolo, pero ¿entiendes? Porque eso, entonces, para mí, it may just be, a lot of people will be like a whole lifelong thing. Like my hair will probably be like, always be a lifelong struggle for me. But things like that, I think it's important for us to examine ourselves and to just push ourselves, to challenge ourselves, to redefine beauty for ourselves, redefine beauty for the world. And I think probably one of the things that is most threatening, and why white women like Lawrence and other people try to structural gaslight women of color about beauty, because they benefit from it. Like some part of them either consciously or unconsciously knows that they benefit from it. And I know, and the ones I had cited earlier, women who do work to like hold these standards and comply with them, they are less likely to be engaged in gender equality or gender advocacy. So I think it's a correlation. Just remember to be brave, be yourself, express yourself, don't be a bigot, and just keep an open mind. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This may be a long one. This one is a long one. But, and yeah, thank you again. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and bye-bye. Good night. Good morning. Bye.